And we're back here with Pedro Silva, or as you may know him by already, Drone by Dro. So thank you so much for coming out this week, bro. I think what's most special to me about today and today's podcast is I just met Dro outside like maybe 20, 30 minutes ago. This is the first person I got to meet in the flesh same day. We get to shoot one of these, man. So how you doing?
Thank you, man. I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me here, bro. It's an honor to be up here, man. It's nice to we had some conversations, collabed on a video on Instagram already, but it's nice to actually meet you in person and chop it up.
Yeah, it's cool, man. You know, those out there, all you people out there, I know that it's not necessarily ever recommended to meet somebody off the internet. But it's funny, like I met my wife technically off the internet. You can do it with safe ways. And what was really kind of cool about your page, bro, when I saw it on Instagram, I think it was either Moco Show or DMV News Daily. Someone collabed with you on a drone video you did
Right.
of Christmas lights on cars. I think it got like 1.3 million views or like likes. Like you got that, it's a stacked video, bro. But and then when I went to your page, you had a Portuguese or Brazil flag there. Like y'all know my
Yeah.
wife from Brazil, so like I was immediately like, oh shit. I scrolled through it and just like stalked you for a day or two. And then once I clicked on your link and I saw the 240 and your phone number, I was like, oh shit, it's game. I'm calling this dude. Because like I really wanted to use some of your videos that capture the area the way like I love the area. They're so unique. He's got videos of I've seen like Hio out in Gaithersburg or Rio, the mall. We were just talking about the Potomac. I've seen stuff on the Nova side. I know you said you mentioned Gainesville. But how
Yeah,
long
yeah.
you been doing this for? Or like when did you first start doing drones?
Yeah, so I've been flying drones now since 2019.
What about holding
Technically,
cameras?
I got my first camera in 2017, like my own first camera. My dad, he was mildly into photography just strictly as a hobby. So I kind of grew up around, DSLR a little bit. But
So what is DSLR for those of us who don't know it? Because
so
I couldn't even like I know that's a camera term, but I don't
yeah,
know what DSLR actually means.
I'm not even sure what it actually stands for, but just mirrorless camera, like your standard Sony
Yeah, not a phone,
yeah, not
basically.
a phone,
Not
like
a
a
fucking phone.
Sony. I have experience mostly with using Sonys and Canons.
Mhm.
Your typical camera, 4K video, 20 megapixel camera, whatever. Not the smartphone, but yeah, man. So in 2017, I bought a drone at Walmart with a buddy. It was like,
Whoa.
those little toy drones that they sell.
Dude, it all starts at Walmart.
Yeah,
It all
right.
starts at Walmart.
It was just an impulse purchase, and I was like, you know what? This looks cool. So I bought it, played around with it a little bit, and it was supposed to kind of be, essentially like me and my buddy were like splitting custody of the toy drone.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he just gave up on it. He was like, man, I don't know. I don't care much for it. But it was so interesting to me, the feeling of having a video game controller in your hand with a flying camera.
Did
And
you grow up big playing video games?
yeah, absolutely.
Ooh,
Yeah.
what'd you grow up on?
Bro, I'm like a big Madden, 2K sports,
Wow,
video
okay.
game type of guy. Like
Hell
I
yeah.
might I might play a little bit of NHL here and there, a little bit of Call of Duty, but I wasn't too big on, on anything outside of really like sports video games.
True, true. I kinda only grew up on, like I mean, I had a PS2 early on, but, like, my brother kinda it was like you said with your drone, my brother took it, and then eventually I was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
He just wanted to play his own murder, kill, shoot 'em up games, like but I did get into GTA, I think as we all do, like,
Oh
one way or
yeah,
the
GTA
other.
is dope.
Yo, I'm hyping for GTA fucking 6, bro. I can't
About
wait to see
time,
what
man.
happens, and, like, I read an article the other day that GTA 6 is gonna have a next level VR, not just when you put on your Oculus or your Meta Quest, whatever headset, Apple Provision, I think, will be compatible, but, like, they're gonna do it so that you can go into, like, a digital store for, like, Suburban-Snoop or Drones by Dro. We both need to get stores on the like that. I was reading, like, oh my god, you can put your merch in there. So if someone wants to buy a
Word.
shirt with GTA points, they're gonna set up they're basically gonna create, like, a currency, and I foresee and predict, mark my words, that this currency will become as valuable as what we see with some of these Bitcoins or I don't know a lot about crypto, but, like, ultimately, I think GTA is a proven fucking market. Like, the they're gonna do like a coin system and you buy shit through your credit card, whatever. But if you wanna buy someone's shirt, you don't use US dollar, you use your GTA coins, you can play for coins. You can realistically, legally bet that think about the digital casino games when you put on a headset and you're in a casino. It is all being created right now by Rockstar.
Damn.
But like, yeah, it just like when I saw that, I was like, whoa, I got to put this article down. This is a lot. Like, I think it was on like some sub on Reddit, and then you start reading the comments and what people are saying. But yo, I'm so hyped. So,
I did
so,
not
so,
know
so
that
hyped.
that was happening, so
I
I'm
just
even more
got
excited
hip, and
now.
like I guess dude, it makes me understand now. It's been like almost like 15 years. Like I remember working when I was like 13, seasonal at Kmart, stocking that shit on the shelf, thinking, like, am I gonna take this? Like I always wanted this game. My mom had said no or whatever. My mom was crazy about like the M games or whatever. She only let us get like these war ones, being like it's educational, but not really, I
That's an
guess. So,
interesting way to put it. I mean, yeah, man, I kind of had the same deal with my parents. They never let us play GTA. We had to kind of like if we were to play GTA, it was like we would sneak it into the house. Oh, this is not GTA. This is Need for Speed. We just drive around in the car. Don't get out. You know, don't shoot anybody. Don't do nothing crazy that you would do in GTA. We're
yeah,
just playing Need for Speed, Midnight
facts,
Club. You know that type of stuff.
facts.
I played the Scarface game too. But to answer your original question, just growing up playing video games, it felt really cool to just have a flying camera with this
Hmm.
video game controller, right? So I go from the toy drone to 2019. I started to take it a little more serious. As I told you before we started here, I used to do a podcast with my buddy. We just talk sports and like, you know, whatever stuff is going on in pop culture. We used to talk mostly about music.
Yeah,
We would talk a little bit about movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. And somewhere along the line, I'm learning how to edit videos. I'm learning how to post short form content, stuff like that. And I pick back up the drone. I buy my first, I guess, 4K drone at the time,
yeah.
and I started messing with like DJI drones,
How
which
much do they
is the
cost?
most popular one. The first one that I got that was a 4K drone, I think it was like $500.
Still, so that's an investment.
So yeah, I
Investment for
mean,
sure,
at
D.
the time, I mean, damn, it was steep. You know, I had to just throw it on the credit card or
Yeah,
whatever.
bro. Fuck yeah.
It's
I know
steep,
what that
man. Like
means.
some
Yeah.
people think that $500, like in
Early 20s, bro. For
yeah,
$500 just back then, bro, wasn't what it is today. Like
even
it
even
was
now it's
that's
still
like
steep.
$800 back then, bro.
But
It's crazy.
now I've been kind of leveling up the drones that I've been using since then, just off of practice, building up a mock portfolio.
Yeah.
I would do,
Your portfolio goes crazy, bro. If you guys
thank you.
haven't yet, you gotta go to Instagram and check out Drone by Dro.
That's right.
No S on the drone
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
name. Okay. But check it out. He's got some videos with over 1 million views, and they're really insane. They're really sick. The way he moves the camera, because he does this advanced level drone stuff where it's not just a bird in the sky, but it's like a fucking robotic cardinal. The
yeah.
bitch will dart around fast and then go slow mo. And some of the shots he does going whipping through doors, you're gonna see some here in a few, but it really is kind of crazy. And what's most special to me about it is just that it's DMV, baby.
Yeah,
Like it really
absolutely.
just captures like everything from the district to Maryland to Virginia perfectly.
See, that was one of the things that I was big on was like I wanted to make a name for myself in the area. I didn't want to try to go to straight to New York or LA because sometimes people would do that, and I have no problem with it, go and do what you feel is right. But I always felt like I wanted to do something here first before I did anything else.
I have a
So
song about that, bro. It's actually, I love how you said LA. It's called Gold Rush. It's track number 7 on my Burbs album. If
definitely
you
check
haven't
that
checked
out.
that out yet, but the main hook is LA fame and money drives you crazy. Going out for something, brick welding to nothing, still broke, East Coast, calling my name, packing up and moving back, feeling the same.
Yes, sir.
LA fame and money drives you crazy, bro. Like I really like my idea was exactly what you just said. Like when I started that song with Alden, and we wanted to make an East Coast like sound vibe. Like you don't have to go to LA, or you don't have to go all the way up
Right.
to New York or even Atlanta now. I mean, I think Atlanta's really they carved
It's a
their
hot
name
spot right
out
now.
for like not just music, but movies, bro. Tyler Perry built these fucking studios there, and like it's now become bigger than Hollywood in some respect.
Yeah.
Same thing with I want to say it was Paramount or Universal. They just built some shit up in Jersey, and Jersey politics or the politicians made all the laws in Jersey more incentivized than in like LA. So like with to compare that to like buying a car, like it's like the government incentives you get on buying there's some EVs right now, you get 20 grand off, and it's money coming from Uncle Sam's pocket to the manufacturer, and they give
Right.
it to you on day one to incent. They're doing that with like all this film stuff to try and build the Jersey market in addition to. But that'll be cool to see the East Coast come back with movies
Right,
and
man.
TV shows more and more and more. You watch? Tell me about some of your ink.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I guess, staying on the drone by drone, that was one of the first ones I got. I got a little blister on it right now, when I was getting these other ones.
It's a
But
sick logo.
so I got my logo tatted on me. As I was telling you, my wife, she's a tattoo artist. Shout out to Art by Brendoza. She is basically the one who did all of these. So
Wow.
this one right here is, I call this one the road less traveled.
Yeah.
So, you have my parents, they were big on, like, you got to go to college. You have to do, the standard, go to college, get a job, work your
Same.
way up the company, all that.
Yup.
So when my dad, God rest my dad's soul, he would tell me all the time, he'd be like, if you don't go to college, what are you gonna do, right? So, because he didn't know any different, right? Like, for him and his family, it was you go to college, you get the degree, and all that. And I decided, probably 2 years into community college, I'm like, this ain't for me, man.
Which
Like,
community college you go to?
Montgomery College.
Okay, so
Shout out Montgomery
I
College
went
for
to
sure.
NVCC, Northern Virginia Community College, for a couple semesters before
Oh
I
yeah.
well, yeah, after that shit happened I told you about at Mason, like, then I
Mm-hmm.
went to Northern Virginia Community College for a semester or 2, working at Starbucks, and then, like, I dropped out then to, like, be like, "Yo, I gotta chase my dream." Like,
Absolutely.
and Starbucks too at the time, they paid for some college shit through ASU, so, like, that was cool, but the dream ultimately still took the
Right.
driver's seat, you know what I
But
mean?
that's what it is, though. It's
Yeah,
like you have to, sometimes it's uncomfortable to take that road that people don't usually take, in terms
facts.
of, you know, doing an entrepreneurial venture, right? So I started with the podcast, and somewhere along the line, I launched the drone company, Drone by Drone, September 2020, and it was a
Wow, right through COVID.
right through
Right
COVID.
through
I was
COVID.
piling
Hardest
up
time
my
to start a
unemployment
biz.
checks, man. I had a bunch of money that I had saved before the pandemic. I didn't have a job. I had time, and I had some
Yeah.
starting capital. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna take this road, and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be less traveled. I
Mhm.
don't really have very many people in my life who are business owners, or too many entrepreneurs, at least at the time. So it was kind of, I was looking
Going
for,
out on a whim though,
yeah, I
and
was
not a lot
going
of
out on a
people
whim.
really support that. I remember I only had, like, very few family members, like, support me early on, like, chasing my dreams with music, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, especially I had a lot of run-ins with the law back when weed was still illegal. So, I'm a pot smoker. I'm big. I'm a pothead. Whatever, however you want to call it. Like, I don't let it hold me back though. It creatively inspires me. I got ADHD like a motherfucker. So
It
like I don't
helps.
really it definitely helps balance, I guess, like if you are like a pot smoker. But they always kind of looked at it as like a justification for drugs, and it really like it wasn't though. Or like, yeah, and it took time. It's been like a decade for me now. I mean, I only got my logos like in the last like 2 years, but I've been making music for so long. And like now I'm like trying to build the structure for
Sure.
Suburban Snoop and Johnny Rocket. Yeah, finding themselves as the brands and businesses they are. So that one kind of grow the other or push the other.
Sure.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
There's some
man.
of my ink that I got. It's funny. It's like my road, like Starbucks. I think I told you I worked at Starbucks. We
Right.
got some Portuguese here. Chemistry, always been a big chem fan. And then like all the movie tattoos I got on my side.
Got the Heisenberg tattoo.
Yes, Dark Knight, little
Fire.
Reservoir Dog. Oh, I got this one in Brazil last time, bro. Fucking shout out to my Brazilian tattoo artist. He did Deus e Topi, Chapada na Chapada, and this little Brazil with the flag in it. But his name is Henrique. I don't know his Instagram off
Yeah.
top of my head, but I finna tag it in
Dude,
here.
this
See,
guy, man,
yeah,
you're like the most tapped in American guy to Brazilian culture that I've met in person, man.
that's
Kudos to
cool.
you,
I
bro.
appreciate that.
Like,
Nah,
you've
it's
said some things to me like, "Yo, you heard about this artist, or you know about this Brazilian thing?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't even know." And my whole family's Brazilian. You know a lot more about this stuff than even I do,
I've
man.
had the pleasure of living with like a genuine Brazilian the last 3.5 years now. Or we've been married for 3 years, but we've really been like together for like 3.5 years. And
That's
the
beautiful.
culture, it's crazy. Like when I first met my wife and like when I grew up, they taught us that South America and South Americans speak Spanish. And like I didn't even fucking know about Portuguese and that was it. And I always like loved geography, but once I like started to hear you and like, yo, it's so sexy, like the way like her accent and like, my wife's like hardcore Brazilian. She was there her whole life. She lived in Mexico for like 3, 4 years through school. 'cause she did, international travel, and so she picked up Spanish in Mexico, and, like, English her 3rd language, and she did not really speak
Nice.
much English when I met her, like, those first couple weeks, but it was just kinda fascinating. She just said, bro, these foreigners in general have just different mindset, bro, different type for the way they look at the American dream. Like, she came here with just her bag on a fucking plane. I
Yeah.
think she got the call or the opportunity. She had, like, a couple hours to decide on whether or not to go, which is kinda crazy too, because she just, like, up and left her life there, but,
Dude, that's
like,
very common, man. Like
it's
that's what my parents did.
so motivating, bro, like, just to hear and see the experiences, to be able to teach her, whether it's, like, a phrase or, dude, anything, like, it's just so cool. It takes my breath away. It's, I'm just like a brick walled. Like, nah, because it's so fascinating. Like every day, like I feel like there's a new phrase or a new word, or like she said some big ass word to me on the phone last night. And like I was like, yo, where'd you learn that word? Like, where'd you pick that one up?
Like an
Because it's
English word?
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shit like discombobulated.
Oh,
It means you're
okay.
like very, very, very
Yeah.
confused. Befuddled is one of her favorite
She was
words.
throwing
She's
out some
been
SAT words.
bigger, yeah, bro. Cause like, so she just enrolled in university recently, and like that's big for her. She's going for business. She like was really trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and at the end of the day, she just wants to like own a business, be an entrepreneur, be able to have the freedom to travel
Sure.
and do what she wants when she wants, but run the business and like hustle like a boss ass bitch, like that boss ass women stuff, bro.
Right.
Like she's really hustling and focused on it. And because she's got the trilingual shit, like I really think it'll help her ultimately. She's like making suburban-snoop like her little baby, as helping me
Nice.
run the stuff, which is cool and just help. Yeah, no, just make decisions. And like every time it's a decision, like I always get some unique, and sometimes like, it's hard for someone to be like to criticize you, but I think it's also important to be able to have that from your partner,
Oh
because like we
yeah.
build each other so much, and like the Brazilian culture just, bro, it was so fascinating. The ones I got to go, I've been to Brazil twice, both to Brasilia, and we went to Chapada in what is it, Goiás, Chapados dos Veadeiros, and it's in the state of Goiás. Some of my favorite stuff that really has gotten me obsessed with Brazilian culture is the music. I'd say my number one artist is this dude, FABC, bro. And he's from your dad's hood, bro.
Minas Gerais.
Yeah, bro. He's
Yep.
from Belo Horizonte, but like, bro, Isu seu pai quebrado, man. Like, it's like, this is your hood,
Yeah.
dog. Like, and he's my favorite artist by far. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I named my playlist O Gringo Abusadamente. Fucking, but FMSA, like he started out as a rapper. He had these hits like G Kenner and Delirious right around the time you started your business. They're like 2020, 2021.
Right.
Do you know about Kenners, the sandals?
No, I
Dude,
don't.
they're so like Brazil has Havaianas and they have Kenners. Like
I see.
it's
I know
like Coke
Havaianas for
or
sure.
Pepsi. Everybody knows Havaianas. They're kind of like the Coca-Cola, but like the Kenners are like Pepsi and Dr. Pepper combined. I guess if we were comparing the sodas in the metaphor,
Right.
but like because they're better, they're like off-road sandals. They're thicker. They got the patches, and he's got this song called G Kenner, like Uskria da VIP va G Kenner,
Yo,
bro.
you see the shit?
Only
I'm
the
more
fucking
gringoed out than you, bro.
only the fucking
Holy.
VIPs like wear can, bro. Like that was my first FABC song that really got me hip. His most recent album, or not even most recent, because he actually dropped one in 2024, but 2023 he had this disco album where he's holding a disco ball. I think it's called Madrugada Maldita, and like the songs on that were crazy. He did this dope shit where he put all the songs on it, and then he put all the songs as instrumentals on it, so like people could sample and like sing over it, and like, oh my god, dude, he changes the game, bro, for
Yeah.
me. Like the way his sound is just so unique. His octave is the same as mine when I rap oftentimes, so even his flows and shit just feel more natural. I learned so much fucking Portuguese, I feel like, from this guy. When he said, I was listening to a new song he dropped like on December 24th. I'm trying to think of what it was called. Now vai falls, now vai falta.
You're gonna have to share me your playlist,
Yo,
man.
bro. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
You're
gotta
gonna
like
have to
look up
share me
this
your
fucking
playlist,
song now
brother.
because this shit was a bop. Oh yeah, no vai fazer falta. Such
Não vai
a
fazer falta.
fazer falta.
Okay,
This
this is like
is,
some wavy
oh my
music.
gosh, bro.
Okay, okay.
dude, it's fire, bro.
This is like roll up and burn one
Yo,
type of stuff, huh?
tight, bro. He's just like a gangster. He's my favorite, super, super favorite. But then I always love like a lot of the classic hits, like Tim Maia, right? Tim Maia, I learned a lot of Portuguese words. Music for me is like a language, I guess, so to speak. And Spotify does this cool shit where it does double translations if you set it up right. So you can see the words in both languages. But then when I'm like driving, listening to the music, like that song we just listened to, he said some phrase on there where he was like, no, Manu, like, obrigado, tudo bem. And then how he had said thank you, everything's good. I had like not heard it in the way he said it. And I was like, oh, well, that was sick, bro. It's like I feel like I pick up more and more Portuguese phrases through the songs and actually through the apps too, just being able to see the translations. Like, but the music, bro, it goes crazy. My wife and I were going to see Luigi Milla here in like a month or two down in Miami.
Oh
Do you know
wow.
Luigi Milla?
Nah, see,
Oh
I'm telling you,
man,
man, and you gotta
bro.
get me hip to
Get
this stuff,
everybody
bro.
get hip.
Cause like
American and
I've
Brazilian.
been in the States, man. Like my brother, I would say is the more, he indulges a lot more in the Brazilian culture than I do. I have a tendency to kind of stay in my bubble over
It's
here in
like a
the
drug
States,
for me,
man.
bro. I've been there twice now, and like just driving here, listening to music, I started thinking about my time back there and like
Yeah.
pastels and like, oh my
It's
god,
beautiful, man.
dude, the
Authentic acai bowls.
yes, bro. It's
You been to
so
Rio before?
not Rio. I've only been to Brasilia because that's where my wife and her family's from, and
Yeah.
then Goiás. I think next time we want to go to Bahia. We've talked about Rio. We just like we don't know people there for real, for real. And like you know how Brazil can be in some of the more like you don't want to go to parts you don't know unless you
Right.
know somebody there,
For
more or
sure.
less, like just for safety shit. And like so I haven't had the pleasure of going yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna go one time or another,
I
bro.
tell you what though,
Like
man, in Brazil, you could feel the difference in like, of course you're always gonna have people out there that's, they want to do their thing, and some people might not be as friendly as others, but
it's very welcoming people.
as a whole,
Very
they're
fucking
warm,
so
welcoming.
bright. They have great attitudes. Like they just want to feed you food. Like, oh my gosh,
Exactly,
it's
man.
so cool, man.
It's that Latin America hospitality, man. It's like similar to like that
Yeah,
Southern hospitality, but like even
facts.
further
Even
down.
further south, bro.
Yeah, so shout out to your wifey, man, for getting you onto
hmm
all this stuff, bro. Like
She got me hooked.
she like you said, like having that partner by your side that's supporting you, it's priceless, bro.
Yeah,
Like it,
yeah,
it
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 really
goes such a
is.
long way, man. Like you said something really, you kind of nailed something there that I was just thinking about the other day. Sometimes my wife will kind of give me some constructive criticism, and in the back of my
Yes.
head I could feel myself starting to get a little bit salty, like I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, man, like not like I almost want to feel like in my head, like, nah, she's hating right now. But really, you know, I'm upset because I know that she has a point. It's like
hmm
sometimes with certain criticisms,
Yeah.
you might not want to hear it,
And it
but it helps
resonates.
so much and it resonates.
Yep.
And that's the only way you're gonna get better is if you have someone with you who wants to not just tell you, oh, it's so great. Like that's what mom and dad would do. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
sometimes they might be a little hard and give some real constructive criticism, but for the most part, mom and dad just want to tell everything is great, right? But your partner, if they could give you some really good constructive criticism, man, it goes a long, long way to
Yeah,
improving
and
in your
then like
craft.
it's a two-way street too, because like I feel like we both just build each other so much, and it's created like a new aspect in my life. And it's crazy too for our marriage. How long you been with your wife?
So we got married in 23. We've been together since 2017. So
Wow, some
yeah,
time then,
yeah.
bro.
So
That's
about to be eight
lit.
years this year.
And like, would you agree in the statement that as your marriage has gone on, it's gotten better?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I feel like that's how you know you got a real marriage or not. If your shit gets bad after it like starts going the wrong way, like because for us, like we knew each other for like 6 months before we got married, but we really kind of started getting close like 3 months in. Like I'd pick her up every day. She'd have to go home to my aunt's. Then she'd ride back with me to Fairfax because like I was working in Rockville, so making that trek across the Potomac back and forth. She'd never make it home. I'd bring her home the next day. I'm like, it got to a point she had to go home like in October, we started getting close in July, and I was like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to let her go. And like, God forbid it doesn't work out. She's just gonna go home. Like, it's not like she's gonna stay here. But we went out on such a whim on each other, and it just like, yo, it panned out because like we were both kind of down for the count. And it's just gotten better and better and yeah, we just get closer. We're growing. We're making like now these long term plans, like because when you're young at first, like the plan is like tomorrow and this weekend or
Right.
whatever, and like now it's like we're thinking like years out, where we want to be, what we want to own, where we want to travel to. We're big on. She loves traveling, just like me, and like she's already like we got to go to Europe, bro. My mom, who's like a fucking American white woman, she was a school teacher her whole life, grew up in like a pretty like I'll say racist area, South Central PA, like definitely not an open arms friendly like place at face value. But like she met her husband, or my stepdad Jim, he's from India, and like when Trump got elected they got scared again, so they went on vacation to Italy, and then they just ended up getting an apartment in Albania.
Wow.
Haven't come home. Haven't come
Damn.
home, bro. Like that's the biggest
How
surprise for
about
me.
that?
But now that she's there, my wife's like, we gotta go to Europe and we gotta visit your mom and we gotta in Greece. And she's like, we're gonna be there all right. Like it's so cute. But like travel too for us has just been so big. We
Absolutely.
got some drone video here actually. We're
That's
getting ready to
right.
cut to.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeff, I think it's about time. Jeff is our VOG, always here on standby out in Hawaii. But this was shot.
Yeah, so
But tell me more.
this was in Oahu. We were spending some time in Honolulu. This is actually our
Gorgeous.
honeymoon. So we got
Wow.
married
Oh, so
in
yeah,
July.
that's how you know you're a true artist. You're on your
Yeah,
honeymoon,
bro.
you're like, babe,
I
I gotta
had
get
to,
some
man.
shots. I gotta get some shots.
So we spent a week out there, which really, it felt so quick, man. We probably should have done more than that, but we were able to get a week, to ourselves and go out to Oahu. And I think I had for 2 days I rented a car. You could drive the whole island in like an hour. So we just kind
Wow,
of
so
drove
smart.
around the strip. I was taking videos and pictures of a bunch of different
How'd
things.
you rent your car? I'm a car guy, I gotta ask.
I just went to Enterprise,
Oh,
man.
Enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay, you went
I went
classic with
I
it.
went to Enterprise, just grabbed it was a relatively, good price car. It was like, $100 for
Yeah,
like
you
2
can't go
days or
wrong with
whatever.
them in the way that
Not too
like
bad.
Enterprise tip, always go back inside once you get the keys and say, it smells like smoke. So they have to note it. And then if
Yeah.
it smells like smoke when you turn it in, you don't have to
Yeah.
pay. But no, I rent cars right now through Toro, a couple of my
Okay,
personal
cool.
cars. So I'm always curious to see and hear like how people decided and like why they went that route.
I've heard about Toro, but that's the thing. So with Hawaii, we man, I was just telling you this before we started, bro. 11-hour, we took a direct flight
You
over
said it
there.
was a domestic flight.
And it's a domestic
Domestic
flight,
flight,
bro.
yeah.
That blows my mind when I think that this is still a part of the United States. Like you feel like you're somewhere completely different, bro. Like,
Man, I
but
like
you see a
wonder
lot of
about how
Americans
we
out there.
inherited Hawaii, or what deal did we get this island in? I'm gonna have to look that up after the show. I'm a history buff and geography specific, but like how you just
Yeah.
said, how is this a part of the U.S.? That is a question that like I have to fucking research. Because Jeff, do you know how did we inherit Hawaii? Oh my
You
god,
talk
he just
it
said
does
it's
it does
not
it
a pretty
involve Pearl
story.
Harbor? That
Wow,
sounds about right.
enforced treaties a little bit more enforced.
That
Well,
sounds about right.
oh, it's a beautiful island to say the least.
But
Definitely a gem. Starbucks fact about Hawaii: first Starbucks drive-through ever
really?
was in Oahu, like where you were.
Damn.
Or I think Oahu or Honolulu. I know they're all over now, like everywhere. They're like fucking subways. They're like,
Oahu
it's a
is
Starbucks drive-through here.
is the first place
That's the
that
first one.
first McDonald's I ever gone to where I was like, damn, this is expensive. It was like $25 for.
McDonald's Brazil
Yeah,
too.
dude, it's
Pretty
crazy.
steep. Pretty steep. No
But you see
cap.
the fact that this video is even here, the fact that I was able to film this just goes to show how supportive my wife is. Think
Yeah.
about when we go on honeymoon. She told me because originally, a story that I've never told. This is the first time I've ever told this story. I was supposed to do work with Marriott in Hawaii.
Mm.
I did work for Marriott in Bethesda. They contacted me through my LinkedIn page, and we did some videos for the headquarters in Bethesda.
Wow.
And the guy David Marriott posted on his LinkedIn, so I was able to get a little bit of buzz and have some my nice boost to the resume. And eventually, some guys out in Hawaii, they wanted to hire me to do some work, so I was going to do 7 different hotels in Hawaii. So I'm thinking like, damn, I could just do the honeymoon one week and the work the next week, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they ghosted me completely. They took my pricing, they took my ideas, and they went to
And they
someone else that
shopped you elsewhere.
shopped me. They
That
took it
happens to
elsewhere,
me
man.
on a daily basis in the car
I was
business.
in
Like,
the
dude.
hotel where these guys wanted me to work at. And I'm like, hey, where's the manager? I'm not gonna say his name, but where's the manager? Is he available? He's in a meeting. He's at lunch. He's not here today. He left early. So it was like every excuse in the book. And still my wife was like, you know what? Yeah, and it's all good if you get some videos. This is for memory purposes. And you know, she wasn't tripping about me pulling out
Wow.
my drone and doing all types of I brought like a little VHS style camera out there to film,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I'm talking about, bro. The
Yeah,
nostalgia,
man.
getting able to shoot. I love when directors shoot movies on like 70 millimeter cameras and they
Yeah,
do that old style stuff. Busting
absolutely.
out a VHS camcorder, one of those joints like for it. It's so cool. I love how in one of these shots, I was waiting for it to come up, that you got when it was in the mountains of how the cloud it looked like it was a
Like a
time
time
lapse you
lapse,
did,
yeah.
and how the clouds are just like kissing the mountains going by. It's such a cool swerve.
It's beautiful, man. It
It
was a good
really
time.
is.
It was a good
Is that
time. Shout out to
sunrise or
wifey.
sunset? I guess it'd be sunset.
This was the sunset of the first day when we probably got there. And then by the time we got our bags and you know we started walking around or whatever, it was already
Um,
sunset. So shout out to the wifey, Art by Brendoza, the tattoo artist who put all this stuff on my arm.
all the ink, all the
And
ink.
she's very supportive, you know, just like how you said with your wife, like having that supportive, you know, partner next to you, you can do so much.
So much,
You can
bro.
become a better version of what you already were going to become.
Totally. No, I totally agree, man. Thank you, Jeff, as always. So I
Yes,
think
sir.
I wanted to mention some movies.
Sure.
Some I'm always big. I like to bring always by each week the movies I've been watching. I brought this one because Den of Thieves 2.
I need to
I think
watch
it's
that.
called Panther. Yo, this is crazy. So 50 Cent written and produced this, just like he did Power. Bro, 50
He's a
Cent
beast.
is a fucking better filmmaker and cinematographer and producer, all the shit that he be doing.
He's killing it.
Like, I feel like it's almost better than the music, bro. Like, I love 52 to my core, but
I
his
don't know, but he's getting
dude,
there. He's getting there.
his film shit, it go crazy.
That's Curtis Jackson. That's a whole different entity right there.
Definitely. Sully, I mean, I hate to say, but all the plane shit happening in the news made me bust that out. Be like,
Oh yeah,
that's
I
that's
remember
a based on a
this.
true story. Sully, he
Right.
landed on the Hudson. They were doing their
Uh-huh.
plane on the Hudson.
I remember that.
Yeah, so like, sometimes events. Oh, there's another current event one. All this stuff in America
The
in the
South
news
Park guys,
right
man.
now, bro. Team America World Police. This is definitely a funny, funny, funny throwback. This is like
Durka
a
Durka.
oh my gosh, dude. Such a funny throwback. Rush. This is kind of cool.
Who is that?
This is this guy. I forget what.
That's
He's a
Thor?
hunt. Let's see, Chris. Yeah, so this one is Thor because I know there's Chris and Liam, but yeah, Chris is a bigger one. And then this is a Ron Howard film. It's funny. This is based on Nicky Souza, I think his name is. Yes, yeah, Nicky Souza. And basically, they're like some Formula One drivers. And at one point, he goes crazy crash, burns up,
Oh,
still
snap.
survives it. Oh, Dark Knight, but the
Fire.
Brazilian Dark Knight, bro. This is the
Amazing.
first DVD I bought in Brazil, like ever. So this is a special one. Something I love about DVDs and why like they're more than just watching a movie is like the inserts. Burger King, how they'd say it down
That's
in
right.
Brazil, bro. But
Burger
look at
King.
Burger King, yeah, yo. I love how all the restaurant names are like pronounced just slightly different. Not just
Bobby's
restaurants.
Burger. You ever had
Yeah,
Bob's Burger down there?
yeah. I think so. We don't eat meat, so I think we had
Okay,
the
okay.
egg or falafel
Got
thing
you.
there when we went. But I do remember
Vegan burger or bean burger?
bean burgers
Nice.
so much. Oh, this is a good one. You ever seen Dodgeball?
That's a good one, yeah.
Dodgeball, such a good throwback. Vince Vaughn, where you been at with these funny fucking movies? Why
Dude,
can't
they
you
they
come back?
dominated the that early 2000s, like him, Adam Sandler, like those types
Bro,
of
and
movies, like
Ben
them Adam
Stiller.
McKay type movies.
I don't know if you remember, but Ben Stiller, he went through like such a big comedy phase. I grew up on like Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents.
Oh yeah.
But he then did this one movie called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where he kind of went out on like I think he's a photographer and he works for Times and like gets fired or some shit. And he ends up going to Iceland or Norway, one of those, maybe Denmark. I don't know, one of those countries. I think the one Trump was trying to buy. But
Mhm.
like he goes there and like has this, like come to Jesus moment, whatever. But I remember when he did that film, he's like, "This is my last film ever." But then now, fast forward to 2025, he has. You ever seen Severance? It's this new
I
TV
was just
show.
isn't that Ben Stiller
He created
production?
it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he like wrote it, produced it. Like he's I don't know if he's directed them, but they're pretty crazy. Or Black Hawk Down, because there's a Black Hawk
That's
Down,
another good
a
one.
real it's called Surviving Black Hawk Down, Netflix just released, which is like real big behind the scenes. These are some crazy ones. Ghost Rider, Hancock, and Hellboy.
Oh,
You're like
Hancock was great.
great value superheroes, or like your D list, or maybe they'd be C list. I don't know. I didn't care for Hancock, but I love Ghost Rider. His name's Johnny in Ghost Rider.
Hancock has the dude from what's the show? Ozark, right?
Get your name or your wife's name out of my mouth. Fucking, I
Yeah.
just think of Will Smith, bro.
Yeah, man. You didn't
You're
like
talking
Hancock?
about Jason Bateman, the guy from Ozark, the
Is
main
that his
character, the
name?
white
Jason
guy. His
Bateman?
name's Jason Bateman. Yeah, I'm a
So
huge Jason Bateman fan. Horrible
is he
bosses.
not in Hancock, or is that I Am Legend?
He is in Hancock. You're right. I see it right here. Jason. Wow, and it credits Jason Bateman, Juno. I can't
Yeah,
believe
right?
it. Juno was his biggest film at the time for them to credit him that way. I thought it was interesting. Hellboy was a film by Guillermo del Toro. I never knew he did superhero films, so I would actually say Hellboy's the best of these three. R.I.P. Ron Perlman. He passed pretty recently. And then you can't go
R.I.P.
wrong. You can't go wrong with Ghost Rider. But I think Hancock for me was just like it was a good idea, but very poorly executed. I didn't like how much of a like belligerent drunk they made him. Or like it just didn't they could have done it in like such a cool way. And like I feel like they just like didn't or I don't know.
You
Maybe I
talking
gotta
about for Hancock?
yeah, I feel like I gotta rewatch. Oh, these are fucking crazy. I just rewatched these like this past week with Ju. You ever seen Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal?
Nah, man, I need to watch
Bro, they're
those.
just mind bends. The way Anthony Hopkins plays the Hannibal character. He's not the original. The original is in this third one where it says Manhunter. That's like an 80s version, but it comes from these books. And I think the first one in book series is called Red Dragon. And there is a Red Dragon movie. I don't know why the hell they didn't put it in the triple feature. They got cheap on them. But technically, it's like a prequel, like what they did with Star Wars. They made it after the fact, but it takes place before Silence of the Lambs and Han. Do you know about the significant importance of Silence of the Lambs?
Nah.
Jeff, am I right? Isn't that the movie that inspired the dude who tried to shoot one of our presidents? Jodie Foster? That's Silence of the Lambs.
Right, when he
Oh,
tried to
Catcher in
shoot
the
Reagan.
Rye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it's not from Silence of the Lambs. Oh,
He's
I don't know
inspired
why
by
I
Catcher
thought
the
that.
Rye.
I don't know why I thought that one. Well,
South Park did an episode about that.
I don't know why I confused, but still, it's one of Jodie Foster's like best her roles, and I guess so she like for some reason fizzled out, and then the second one, Hannibal, that shit takes place in DC, like starts right over in Southeast, like
Damn.
under the fucking bridges and under the lane change from like all 395, 295, all of them coming in on the Maryland side. It's like kind of crazy, or it's cool to watch because especially because you've done drone shit out here. I definitely highly recommend you watch both of those movies.
Yo, it's crazy now with these newer movies. When I watch them, I always watch for one, the drone shots during the movies.
Yeah.
And even when I'm in the theater, I sit down and I watch the credits because I'm
Mhm.
trying to see who shot the drone, like which drone studios and the TV shows,
Are
the
there big?
movies.
I'm not familiar, I guess, with the studio. Is there any big like powerhouse monopolized studio right now for the drone stuff, or is it
I would
pretty?
say the biggest one that I know of is Beverly Hills Aerials. They did some cool so I don't know if you've seen Jackass, the latest one that came out.
I didn't see it.
So there was they actually used it for the promotion of the movie where Johnny Knoxville gets shot out of a cannon and they got a drone hovering right
The
there
whole
for the shot.
time.
So and they get this like 120 frame per second slow-mo drone shot where he's like coming up right towards the drone. So I mean
Wow.
that's like, for whatever, like shits and giggles or whatever, but like in terms of, cinematic stuff, Johnny FPV is I guess at this point considered like a company, but he started out as a freelance. He's like one of the first FPV. For those who don't know, is first person view. Like when you got those goggles with the faster
Yeah.
flying drones, like this UMD one.
So that's
that
how
would
they have to
show-
use. They use goggles for those.
Right. So you got to have goggles on your face. It's like essentially the difference between driving an automatic car and driving a manual car.
Wow.
You have to maintain the pitch, you have to maintain the speed at all times. Like the regular drones that I flew for Hawaii, That was, they got sensors on it. They could hover. They can fly autonomously. This one that we see here for UMD, all
Oh wow, I
manual
didn't even see it
movements,
played in the background. Holy shit, this
all
is
manual movements.
crazy.
So this was at University of Maryland. Shout out to Hope
Wow, the
Lonzo.
swoosh, just like a basketball does, yo.
Yeah,
When you
shout out to the
fucking
whole Recwell
made the
department.
shot.
They reached out and they asked me to create something where we can fly inside. And there's a guy named Jaybird Films. He's my favorite FPV guy, does some of the sickest stuff I've ever seen. And I actually hired the guy who does his audio to do the audio on this, just putting all these different sound effects, chatter, whoosh. When the drone flies by, like flying out the door, you got a whoosh sound,
And
and
change the environment when you go outside too.
absolutely
Yeah.
like the water noises. When they were swimming, you got the water sounds and the competitive swimming, like
Whoa, the
blaring and
rock
all that.
climbing wall. This is crazy, bro. This really
Yeah.
actually showcases direction
So
beautifully.
this required a bunch of different waivers from the FAA because College Park is in a no-fly zone, and man, we had to do a lot of coordinating to get all this stuff done. And this was probably like 2 days of shooting a bunch of different shots, and we just kind of went through which ones were fit the best for each scene to how we wanted it to, and then the ending. We had this beautiful.
So
This right
gorgeous.
here is so that was transition from the automatic car to the manual car right here.
Wow.
And that's what this is all about, man. It's just getting as close as possible to the action, and
Without touching the act.
this is like, see, one thing that I didn't do in this video, or I didn't post in this video, was a one take, right? Similar to like how we were saying the Goodfellas one take shot where they go inside the restaurant and they cut the line and all that. That's what these FPVs are really good for, where you can fly into a building, you can go up to the concierge or whatever, you could fly over to the gym. I do have a one take of all that, but in order to fit everything in 90 seconds, I had to cut them up a bunch of times. But
Wow.
that's the beauty of FPV. This is the next wave of drone cinematography is FPV, first person view, drone tours inside of buildings and stuff like
What
that.
about houses?
Absolutely. I've had real
Wow.
estate agents hit me up to fly inside of mansions, or restaurant owners fly inside their restaurants and stuff like that. That's where my heart is at, man. Like, I enjoy doing, I do a lot of construction stuff every week where it's, retainers or whatever, and it's nice recurring income, but I don't get the same level of satisfaction as I do when I do these flying inside of buildings, and
Yeah.
and just seeing people kind of, we had to coordinate with everybody in that video. Like, hey,
How
when the
hard is
drone
it to
comes
do the
here,
FAA stuff? Like, I'm sure they can say no
oh, it's a pain
easily.
in the ass, man. Like, you have to have everything down to the second on the latitude, longitude. If you even get 1 second off on that, they'll decline it. You have to spell everything correctly. You have to give a certain amount of time. If it's not 15 business days ahead of time, they will deny it, and you go right back to the beginning. If they
Wow.
make a mistake, oh, whoops, that was an accident, you still go back to the beginning. So everything has to be by the book, and you still have to cross your fingers that everything goes right. So
Wow.
we have to check in with people to make sure they're consenting to be on video. That's like hundreds of people in there that we have to check with. Um, so release forms, FAA waivers, making sure that the drone has prop guards so that there's no open propellers that could hit somebody.
What
It's
about a
it's a
place like
lot that goes
Hawaii?
into
Was it. it easier to just be able to fly out there? Or
Yeah,
is that really
so
cut
they
down?
have laws as well, but it's more stuff like you can't fly at night without a waiver, or just don't be reckless with it. But it's stuff that
Yeah.
people don't really follow. I made sure to follow it though. Like, my wife was like, just send the drone up at night, and I was like, look, the FAA rule said that I can't, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did it. I
yeah.
kind
Nah,
of played
because
it by the book.
ultimately I saw a
I'm a
video.
visitor there, man. I want to make sure that I'm not coming to their territory, and I'm just doing what I feel like doing.
Facts, facts. And I saw, bro, a video recently of some cops in like China being able to shoot some gun, not a gun, but like a beam. Like it looked like a baby satellite gun, and nothing came out of it, but this drone just dropped. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
that they locked onto it, and some, I don't know if they're overriding it or if they're sending some rush of energy to like overheat like I don't know
That's
how,
what it is.
but it
So when
so
they
they
when they beam it up, they're trying to fry the drone by putting this beam, I guess, through the sensor of the camera, and it could
oh,
just fry the drone, and it just drop out the sky.
and then your drone's like fuck. basically.
Basically, I mean, yeah,
Basically.
depending
Mhm.
on how bad, like I've had that happen to me where I was flying, I think it was like 4th of July in Gaithersburg, and I was flying from a super distance. So I don't know if this was the police, I don't know if this was just somebody shining a light, but I got probably 3 or 4 thick green beams right at the drone. So I had to like point away real quick and just land right away because I'm not trying to deal with that. If
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
their cue to tell me to get out of the sky, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. Being able to respect the sky, respect the
Absolutely, man.
airspace.
That's the thing, man. I try to, maybe sometimes there might be certain things like, hey, you can't fly at night without a blinking light on top of your drone. Sometimes I might have not had the blinking light on there, but outside of that, if there's flagrant, you cannot break this law, I try to make sure that I do it the right way so that I have credibility with these companies when they hit me up. Like
Mhm.
I've worked with Carnival, I've worked with Marriott, I've worked with Nike, I've worked with Under Armour. Nike and Under Armour was through some production companies, but I've had direct like the marketing director of Carnival hit me up. So the fact that I'm doing these things the right way and that the quality is coming out good and that and something too that I try to tell people when it comes to the entrepreneurial world, you can be really good at what you do. You could even be a good business person on top of that. But if you don't have the right people skills, people aren't really going to want to hire you all the time.
Ever, bro. That's just like we say that shit with selling cars. Like people sell cars,
Got to
and
have
that's
people
it.
skills.
Like you can buy a car anywhere. The numbers are the same at other new car dealerships. Like, yes, some people do a little bit better than others, but like buying a car is like buying a house. It's the second
Right.
biggest investment you make in America. And like people sell fucking cars. Like you have to really sell yourself, be able to communicate, make people feel warm, but
Right.
show that you're a professional at the end of the day. Like the
Absolutely.
legitimacy behind following the laws and stuff. Like that's how you get the big companies.
Yeah,
Keep
man. Like,
rolling.
I'll
Yeah.
give you 2 examples right off the bat. So, I got flown out to Georgia to do a job, 17 different schools for the same public school district where
That's
I
exciting.
I did drone stuff where I was flying inside of their buildings. I was taking pictures with my camera and videos of the school for a nonprofit that creates the websites for the school for free and basically like these middle of fucking nowhere schools, right? Like I'm talking
Yeah.
about Hinesville, Georgia, middle of nowhere, about an
Yeah. I've
hour away
never
from
heard of
Savannah.
that.
Right.
Hinesville. Huh.
So they hired me and they were like, listen, we had someone already doing this who's really good, but he's just a dickhead. Like we didn't like him. He just didn't vibe out. So
Yeah.
when I go there and I make a great impression in Georgia, I paid for my own flight and all that too. And I flew to Jacksonville, drove 2 hours over to
Oh
Hinesville. So
wow.
I go out of my way and I don't make it like this. Oh my God, here I am.
It's
Like,
almost been Southern Georgia. But
yeah.
you flew to Jacksonville. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
like the border of Florida and Georgia, and the fact that I was able to, vibe out with these people. Now we're locked in. They send me to
Hmm.
Colorado, they send me to a bunch of schools in DC, and then the people skills also resonate within your peers too. Like Carnival came to fruition because the main guy couldn't do it. But he said, I know one other guy that I like and that I trust, and is Pedro. So
There you
I want
go.
you to hit him up since I can't do it. And that meant a lot. You know how many people would hold a client like that near and dear? And I've been
Hmm.
basically locked in with them ever since that. Like he basically handed me over Carnival as the main client just because he's like, hey man, I like what you do. And I trust you. They'll probably still hit
That's
him up
sick.
from time to time, but like
Wow.
it's very rare that especially in the video world, just entrepreneurial stuff in general, people don't really like to share connections or share certain trade skills.
I
That's
think what
why
where technology's gone, it's caused all the screen stuff. Like you can use it to meet people like we met, or you can hide
yeah,
behind the screen and just type away.
that's why I
Like
make an
or
emphasis, man. I
yeah.
want to make sure that I can help people as much as I can. I don't like to gatekeep stuff. People ask me, where'd you learn how to do this? Here's the app that I learned how to use it. Oh, what kind of drones do you use? Here it is. Did an Instagram post recently where I posted a hyperlapse and people always ask me, what settings do you put? I put all my settings there, everything that I use to create that exact hyperlapse. Because why? It's all publicly accessible information. Why hold on to it when you could point someone in the right direction?
And then inspire someone else too. Yeah, you never
Exactly.
know what. Yeah, you never know what it's gonna cost or
No
what it's
need
gonna
to
lead
gatekeep.
to. Hell yeah, I agree. Well, let's bust. Or I have to ask you because we're on here. What have you? Do you watch movies at all? Are you a
I
big
do,
movie?
man. I will say this. I've seen a good amount of movies for sure in my life, but there are a lot of like quote unquote classic movies, or not quote unquote, just straight up classic movies that I've heard a lot about that I've never seen. Like I've just for the first time watched Boys in the Hood
I love though when you get
like
to
the other
watch a
day.
classic like so late in the game because then you're
Yeah,
like, holy shit. That's how I felt with Silence
as
of
an
the Lambs and
adult.
Hannibal. Yeah. And like you understand, you get to grasp it. So like there's no shame in that, bro. Like
Yeah.
there's always another movie to watch, basically. But what you seen any movies recently? Like that really kind of
Dude,
captivated
so
you? Or
I
TV
watched
shows too.
I watched 2 different shows as a youngster. I probably 2 different movies, I should say. I watched Goodfellas when I was 13 years old, and I watched Scarface probably when I was, like, around that same age, maybe, like, 13, 14 years
Shut
old.
up, Brian De Palma. Whew,
So then I watched
so
both
good.
of those movies again as an adult, and it was like it just hits so much different when you could actually understand more of the innuendos and,
Well, now that you're
what's
a
going
drone
on.
operator, I think we were talking earlier before we started this about that first shot in Scarface, and then the one that's also, I think, in Goodfellas of
The
like
one take.
the way they did those shots. Cause I don't think they would have been drones back then. They probably just would have been long ass jibs and tracks
Right.
and like just a camera somehow rolling back and forth. But the way they can build a setting and go in and out of a building, and then it's
Sure.
just Miami
It's
Beach
like a
or
different
so crazy.
appreciation for the filmmaking and the storytelling side of it,
Yes.
watching it now
Yes.
being, like, in the, I guess, film industry, like,
Hmm.
filming stuff and all that,
'Cause you're
it's a
like,
different
"Damn,
appreciation.
I know how they had to shoot that," or I
Yeah,
know what when they see something, you're just like, "Damn, I know what you had to actually do to accomplish that shot." It's like you get a new appreciation, so to speak,
absolutely.
for it, which is cool.
And lastly, as far as TV shows, I just wanna say the greatest TV universe of all time,
What you got?
Vince Gilligan, is that how you say it? The guy who did Breaking Bad?
Yeah, 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 Vince Gilligan.
Vince
Gilligan.
Gilligan,
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
absolutely goated, man.
Big Breaking Bad fan.
Absolutely
Big
goated.
Breaking
So I
Bad.
watched I watched all of Breaking Bad. I watched all of Better Call Saul. I watched El Camino. Like
What'd you think
it
of El Camino, the story?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
I
facts.
thought it was a little
We
slow.
call that a paycheck film. This is a quick
Yeah,
paycheck.
it's I
Quick
mean,
paycheck.
if you watch anime, it's kind of like a filler type of deal there. So it's like it's all right. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
too
yeah, yeah.
crazy in my eyes, but I would say Better Call Saul is like
Fire, fire by
damn near
far.
as good, if not better, in some aspects than Breaking Bad was. But it's just like the cinematography behind it, some of the shots that they got. I watched a lot of the behind the scenes and
Yeah,
like
it's
going back
crazy.
later and just
It's
seeing some of those
crazy.
things. You know that shot where I think it's Gustavo's last shot where like he blows up half his face. He got
Hector
Salamanca
clicking the bell.
blowing him up and stuff. That was a 19 take shot right there. Where
Damn.
normally they say we usually get these things done in like 2, 3 shots. 19 shots,
19 explosions.
perfection to or detail. What is it? Attention to detail. Trying to get the perfect shot and not just being all right with like, all right, yeah, that one's good enough. Yeah, well, let's wrap it up and keep it moving. That
Mhm.
motivates me in my field to not just be like, all right, got the 1 or 2 shots I needed. That's good. Like it needs to be as close to perfect as possible. You're
Yes.
never
I
gonna
totally
you're
agree.
never gonna get everything to be perfect, but if you can get it as close as possible, pay attention to every little detail and make sure that you did absolutely everything you could until you move on to the next thing. That's how you end up getting a masterpiece. Because
Facts.
everything in Breaking
Facts.
Bad was like that. They
You
had
know, they
the
almost canceled that shit too after season two.
oh,
Like
that would
back
have
when
been
they were
tragic.
first making the show, it almost got canceled. Because I watched Breaking Bad. I jumped on season three. I very actually much remember the like moment I discovered that show. I was like, holy, what is? So I was obsessed with chemistry and all that shit as a kid. So just to see it come alive on screen and the way they build characters, I
Oh
feel
my
like they
goodness,
perfectly
yeah.
built. Like my favorite character is like Tuco out of all of Breaking
Yeah.
Bad by far. I sampled Tuco a couple times on my album and a couple different Breaking Bad points. I really liked Jane, fucking Jesse's girlfriend.
Oh,
Like she
yeah.
added such because like it's so hard to add love correctly. And I wasn't the biggest fan necessarily with the way Walt and Sky always interacted or the way things happened with them. But Jane was just like so perfect to add the right balance. I felt like she was such a true, believable girlfriend.
Right.
Sometimes I watch a show and I'm like, this character just doesn't fit.
She's the
Usually
one
for
who
me, it's like
overdosed, right?
she ODs, yeah. And then her dad's like an air traffic controller, and he has two planes like hit each other over ABQ. Like and like that was such a real like aftermath thing that could have happened from those situations. Like, yeah, it just felt real the way they did the story. So many times, so many great shows. Like I'm rewatching Dexter because they just did
Beautiful
Dexter.
show.
Well, dude, they have Baby Dexter now, or they call it
I'm not a
Dexter
big fan of the new
Original
one.
Sin. Oh, we fucking watch the shit out of it. Me and my wife,
It's
and it's like,
good.
yo, it's so cool to like see it now because like
I watched like
they
one episode,
flashback a
and like
lot
it.
throughout all Dexter, but I didn't really like how they ended Dexter. I was not the biggest fan of seasons like 7 or 8. And, like, I
Mm,
feel like that happens with a lot of TV shows, but not Breaking Bad. Like,
not Breaking
it was
Bad,
just
man.
yeah, it's just one where it just never stopped getting perfect and went out on top. I don't know that it'll ever be topped TV show
We
wise.
talking about Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah, I don't like, I just don't know, like, like, another one that I really love also from the dude from Dexter, you ever seen 6 Feet Under?
I haven't.
It's about like this funeral home. Like it starts out with the dad's death. I think it's Robert Duvall. And like, but it's Michael C. Hall, but he plays like a gay guy. Like he plays it so different from Dexter. But I would put that up there with like Breaking Bad, but behind it. It's not as good as Breaking Bad, but that's like another like show where the way it developed, like the story was pretty perfect, like
Yeah.
in itself,
You
man.
got the character development from Walt going to, this mild mannered, quiet guy to
Like a
like the
nerd,
the the
bro.
absolute
He's driving
villain.
a Pontiac Aztec, bro.
He's the
Like
he's the
the
danger that knocks, man. And then they end that show perfectly, the way they kill off Gustavo and him. And then I
Hank.
think I even liked the ending of Better Call Saul even better. How he
Yeah.
could have got away with it. He's like, nah, man, it's time.
And the transition for Better Call Saul, the way they started it and the flashbacks and whatnot they did throughout,
Beautifully done.
so good. I didn't understand the brother shit for a bit. I remember I had to like do research or like better understand it, but that made more sense once I did like more research into it type. But nah, it was good. We're down. We're here in our final 2 minutes. You got any other TV shows, movies you want to shout out?
I just gotta say, man, Goodfellas is probably my favorite movie of all time. Rest in peace to Ray Liotta, man. Martin Scorsese, one of the
One of the
greatest,
best.
if
One of the
not the
best.
greatest director of all time. The
Yes, we got
cinematography,
here.
even in the '90s, was like
Crazy.
still stuff that hasn't been topped
Crazy.
to this day.
He's
And
doing a new one, Homer's The Odyssey. Oh wait,
oh, is
no.
he?
Is it Scorsese or is it Nolan? I think that's actually Chris Nolan. Ah, thank you,
Yeah,
Jeff. Yeah, he's like, yeah,
I
it's
didn't I
Nolan.
didn't think that
But
was.
Scorsese's working on another one with Leo here. I'm trying to think what the fuck it is. But I know Scorsese's coming with something else with Leonardo DiCaprio
I will
the
say
next
the
year.
last
Huh.
one that I saw from Scorsese was the
Killers of the
Hollywood.
Flower Moon?
No, it was the
Oh, Once
Hollywood.
Upon a
Once
Time.
Upon a Time in
Well,
Hollywood.
that was no,
Really?
that was Quentin Tarantino though. Once Upon a
That was
Time.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fucking, he
okay.
does. I have a Red Apple cigarettes tattoo. That's Quentin Tarantino's cigarette brands in all his movies, like
I
in
thought
his
that was
universe.
Scorsese. Okay.
Nah, that one. But it does have some Scorsese type elements. I will
Yeah.
say that. I don't know. I know it's not Wolf of Wall Street. I think Killers of the Flower Moon was the most recent Scorsese film that has Leonardo DiCaprio again in it. That's interesting. It takes place on an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
It's like about an idea I had never thought about, but these like gringos and the white men like
Yeah.
marrying the
Right.
Indian people, and a lot of them like doing it just for land. Or I guess that was a thing back then. It reminded me almost of, you ever seen Hateful Eight? Fucking
I
Quentin
have.
Tarantino
I
film.
have
Oh
seen
my
that.
god, it's one of my favorite QT films because it's so hard to do a film of just sheer conversation.
Yeah.
Like it really is, and that shit goes like fucking 3 hours long. I think the extended cut's like 3 hours, 42
It's
minutes.
incredible, man.
Wild
I
as
just want to
shit.
say one more thing though. If we got a little bit of time, I just
You
want to
got
say
46 seconds.
the best TV show of all time, the best satirical TV show of all time, South Park, man. Like
Yeah, we'll
the
give it to
Trey
him. We'll give
Trey
it
and
to him,
Matt
bro.
are absolutely goaded, man. Like they went up against religion. They went
And
up
I'd put
against
Family Guy
Family Guy.
behind him, but South Park ahead in the way that they connect
Absolutely
with current
goaded.
events better. They do just episodes on the current
So
events. Oh my
me and my brother, we
gosh.
talk a lot about current events and things that's going on, how crazy this country is, and I find myself more often than I could even like remember. Like South Park did an episode about that already.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, they did an episode
Yup.
about a lot of these things. Shout out to South Park, man. I'm probably gonna
Hell
watch some of
yeah.
that tonight.
Well, thank you guys all for coming listening with us this week, and we'll catch you again next week.